Morning. It's Thursday, October 24th. And I was reading an article this morning that surprised me. It stated categorically that high inflation has mostly been defeated around the world. And that is something that the International Monetary Fund said Tuesday. And it was a surprisingly upbeat assessment on the prices after warning only 3 months ago that progress on reducing inflation had stalled. Looks like the battle against inflation has largely been won, even if price pressures persist in some countries. I don't see it that way. I see things that are enormously, in my feeble mind, overpriced. I don't understand exactly why. And there are some things that I haven't done on a regular basis since the pandemic struck. We used to go to the movies quite often before the pandemic. But since the pandemic struck, we've only been to the movies about 3 or 4 times. And when I look at the prices in the movie theaters, I don't think that inflation is not on the rise. When they're charging $15 and $20 to sit and watch a movie, that's outrageous. And I am sure that the prices of Broadway shows and things like that are way out of sight. So if they think that the battle against inflation has been won, even though they do admit that a certain price pressure still persists in some countries, but when the agency thinks that global inflation will slow to 5.8% this year and then fall to 3.5% at the end of the year, I don't know that that's so great. 5.8% is pretty much a high number in my mind. No, we used to talk about 3% a year's prices going up, but 5.8% this year and then maybe 3.5% by the end of the year? That's not what I would consider the rosy outlook on consumer prices that is coming less than 2 weeks before the U.S. election. Because inflation is a key issue for voters. So I'm not sure that this news that's being sent out in space is actually 100% foolproof, 100% true. But there is one thing that I'm sure is true. 23 Nobel Prize winning economists recently signed a letter that called Kamala Harris's economic agenda vastly superior to the plans laid out by Donald Trump. I would believe that because I have not seen Donald Trump put forth any plans that have made sense. The man hasn't written down anything, rambled, but I don't want to get into that. So this has been a surprisingly upbeat assessment on the pricing that's going on around the world. You know, when they declare that the global battle against inflation is largely won, that's a major statement. So while some have said that inflation is under control, the Fed, which cut interest rates for the first time in more than 4 years last month, has not declared any victory over inflation yet. We are certainly not saying that the mission has been accomplished against inflation. That's what Jerome Powell told reporters. after delivering the jumbo cut in September. And likewise, the Central European Bank, the president of that bank, has shied away from announcing the end of high inflation in Europe. She said inflation is on the right track. The International Monetary Fund had said that while the upside risks to inflation are receding around the world, the threats to economic growth are multiplying. The downside risks are increasing and now dominate the outlook. That's what the agency said. And it's citing the risk of higher commodity prices due to the conflict in the Middle East. And as governments move toward increased tariffs and protectionist industrial policy. So the economy may look good in the eyes of many, but maybe we're making some big mistakes and we shouldn't be so excited about the fact that the economy may get better, because there are still many hurdles to overcome. And all around the world, the situation is different from country to country. And then who knows exactly what is the best way for everybody? The International Monetary Fund sees the global economy dropping to 3.2% there. That's what it forecast in July. But now they've changed its forecast. But they upgraded their forecast for U.S. growth to 2.8%. That's 2% points higher than projected 3 months ago. So you see, all these people are giving us numbers, and the numbers change very quickly based upon something that happened. There was bad economic news for Europe, and the economy compressed for 20 countries that use the euro. So, the world has many different places and many different ways of measuring the effects of the economy on their country. And the downgrade and the push and the growth that was forecast for China has been downgraded, where its government has in recent weeks unveiled a rash of stimulus measures to support the flailing economy. So the agency expects China's economy to expand by only 4.8 percentage points. That's a drop from the forecast that they predicted in July. So you see, I think when we look at the economy of countries, we really have to look at the way the people in that country are affected. They can have all kinds of good news and bad news, but you find that many segments of populations are not winners in the economic war. It's very tough to keep your head above water these days, with things changing and shifting constantly. And when we look at the population in the United States, where we have 50 million people at the poverty level, and that number hasn't changed in years. So I don't care what all these economists say about the shape of the economy and everything. Not if there are millions of people who can't make it. Then there can never be a good economy, in my mind, if the majority of the people, well, I won't say the majority, but if there's a large minority of the people who can't take care of themselves monetarily, we have problems. And we must recognize that. So all these numbers that these people are throwing around are a lot of BS in my mind, if we still have people on the brink of starvation. So I leave you with that. All of these crazy numbers that indicate good or bad are not good for many portions of the populations around the world. Have a great day. Bye.